you have to jump through hoops to get.
What's your podcast, David?
What could possibly go wrong?
Ooh.
To get things like a simple screen repair or a battery. Like, I have a Samsung, right? I don't even have an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember for a while, I was able to exchange my own battery. Now, I can't even open it.
You're going to want to say that on air. We'll have that. Okay, so you want to talk mostly about right to repair. Okay, do you want to talk about me as a small business? Do you want...
Yes.
I guess what I'm trying to say is how much about me do you want to make this? Or are we mostly talking about...
First segment is you.
Okay.
Every first segment that I do is about you. And
okay.
I'll talk to you and I'll put in my 2 cents so that we can elongate that. However long you might have or not have about speaking. Listen, I've seen you in the community. I watch you. I know that sounds a little creepy, but
I get it.
You know what I mean? I see that you're everywhere.
That's mostly what I'm trying to say is like
Worcester's growing as the LGBTQ community too, and I think that it's important that we.
I'm not someone who really should be speaking about that much for a bunch of reasons, but primarily I'm barely involved.
Not here, neither am I. But the fact that we're out there, within these networking events.
The owners of FEM to talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm bisexual, which is yes in the queer community, but it's there are so many. I'm more qualified to talk about a long list of other things.
What's some of those other things?
Okay.
So you tell me what you want to talk about.
Okay, so I've been a small business owner for a decade in Worcester. I've opened something like 5 or 6 storefronts here.
Oh wow.
When I say 5 or 6, 32, but when I say it's the same business.
Gotcha. I'm with you.
So like it's not. I've helped open a few other businesses.
I'm gonna record now. Is that cool?
Sure. So I've opened multiple storefronts, primarily mine. The Hamilton Computer Repairs, my computer repair shop. So I opened that when I was 21, and we've been open over 10 years now. And I have, as of last week now it's 2, but prior to that I had 3 employees, which was frankly something I never imagined getting to. So honestly, it's mostly taking my business from being just me to my employees.
Keeping that mic close to you. Yes, I want to get a sense of your
Exactly.
levels.
Yeah, if you want to hear what it sounds like too, the headphones will help you hear how it's sounding.
Yeah, I should see this.
You don't need to keep them on,
you
but
don't have to wear them. If you don't want.
Sometimes it's kind of fun.
Well, I might as well get used to them. How does it? So this is.
I know season 3 coming up.
Right. Well, no, season 2 for us. That's the other thing.
Why are we the 3rd season?
Because I probably announced halfway through last year that we're doing season 2, and then we stopped after 2 episodes. So it's probably that.
I hear you.
But yeah, we're about to start season 2. I'm in the process of finishing up building out a podcast studio in the basement of my new shop.
Yeah.
And then we can start. We're gonna have video, not this many videos, but not many angles. But we're gonna probably just stick an Insta360 in the middle of the room. I hate this because I can hear every single noise my mouth makes. And feedback. Is that feedback going to be the actual recording?
That's a good question.
It shouldn't be as long as. So I was moving this a little bit, so that might have been. I don't hear any feedback in my head.
I think when I put those ones on earlier, I was hearing feedback.
I think it's those.
Put his on and see. But.
It's a little.
Oh, I do hear that.
Yeah. Try the other
ones.
That's
not in mine.
I didn't listen to his, but try those because that'll make me feel more.
Testing.
And yes,
that one has feedback or no?
None on those.
On the one.
Not here at all. It's still there, but very much not.
But I do hear that in every recording.
Yeah, when I was wearing those earlier.
Are those the steps?
If possible.
Yeah, go ahead.
Buy some
So I do hear that in every recording, and I think it's what it does in the game.
And then it turns out.
Oh yeah, whatever you just did,
I
reduced
just started the game now.
Oh, good.
But make your once I go over 3.
But the problem is when I put it into like Audacity, the levels are so low. Like even with the gain up, it's still low. And I don't understand.
One of the differences.
Look how high it is.
So I have no clue how to operate one of these things. We just got a Rodecaster. So I can avoid dealing with this.
The analog, the zoom. Yeah. There's a way to reduce the interference in Audacity afterwards.
Because this does come in the recording. I have to take it out.
Yeah, manually.
Every time. Yeah.
Well, that's
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
So,
But I'm not
5
sure
minutes
how to use
and
this
we'll
either.
start.
So there's
Alright.
that. I'm also
Yeah,
polyamorous,
that's-
which is something I can talk more about because I'm, you know.
I mean, only if you feel
But-
comfortable, if it makes sense into what we're talking about, then
Well,
fine.
that's the thing, is all of these things are tangentially related. I was
Mhm.
into drones for a while.
Well, we can talk about drones.
I'm
How you feel about the city having drones?
that's not talking about drones, and I would love to have that conversation.
Right? Listen, I just wanted to let you know, this show, I call it interviews because I wanna get an interview with you. So I don't care about structure. We were talking about this earlier with Leanne.
I want a
Leanne's
little
very
bit more
much
structure.
person. So she's here, I'm here. So we're trying to meet here. I just like to talk to people, have a conversation, and however
Cool.
it goes, it goes.
That's how my kind of I'm here for that.
Right.
Let's go.
I love it.
Mm.
I can hear it, the
Yeah, when I put those on earlier, I was kind of like, what's happening?
Yeah, I almost would. In fact, let me.
It is annoying.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot easier time without them.
Yeah, you don't have to wear them.
Alright,
It was just an
I'll
option
put
if you
these
wanted
back
to.
there and put those.
Okay.
So your 5 to 6 storefronts, were they all computer repair?
Yeah. So I should actually think of. So I'm just gonna list it out because that's the only way I'm actually gonna give you an accurate number. I opened at 67 Hamilton Street, Worcester. I opened there because that was the storefront that my boss that I was quitting's father had for rent. So I essentially said, hey, I think I can make more working for myself than what you're paying me for what I'm doing. I didn't want to do busy work.
Right.
And so in the process of quitting, he was like, hey, do you want to rent my father's storefront? So I did. And that was 67 Hamilton. We then moved from there to 63 Hamilton. Honestly, it was slightly nicer, slightly bigger storefront for slightly more rent. And it was literally two storefronts down the street, so it was a pretty quick and easy move. Then I ended up buying the building that 67's in, and so we moved back there. Then in 2018, I moved to Park Ave. A friend who had a cell phone repair shop was closing his shop, and the location, it was a huge improvement. And you know, I was thinking, it was mostly because I'd moved to Spencer, and I was thinking, oh, this is 10 minutes closer to me. And then I thought more about it and realized it doesn't matter. You know, it's not about where I live. This is an exponentially better location.
Mhm.
And we were there for 4 years, and now I just recently moved to 458 Park Ave. But there was also 2 shops in West Boylston at, I don't even actually remember the addresses. One was above Zaza Inc., and the other was directly adjacent to the Army Navy surplus store. And I actually opened those shops pretty much to,
What, Dave, what do you want? You just want David Wood right to repair on the
that
screen?
works.
Okay,
Yeah, that's perfect. David Webb, well, you can put
Web,
Hamilton
right?
Computer
It's
Repairs.
2 Bs, right?
Yes.
Do you want me to move closer?
So
I
was
wanted
it
that
it was the
first.
same store again and again and again?
Yeah, same
Okay.
business. Yeah, same business.
But you
upgrading
would
storefronts.
close the other ones, yeah, okay.
So, well, we had 2 at a time, one on Hamilton Street and one in West Boylston. I closed the one West Boylston one when I opened the other. When I opened the Park Ave one, I closed both the Hamilton Street one and the West Boylston one. Because frankly, the Park Ave one was 7 minutes from the West Boylston one and close enough.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you're like,
No, it doesn't.
you own it and you manage it, or you have?
Yeah, so it's my business. I owned it. I opened it 10 and a half years ago, and I'm still managing it. I'm in the process of, systematizing every single little thing so that I don't have to do any of it. But I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And I don't have the cash flow to hire everyone to do everything anyways. But it's also, I'm the biggest bottleneck in my own business, and I've kind of identified that. So at this point, it's mostly mitigating that.
So real quick, I'm just sorry, Hamilton, Hamilton, computer repair, is that how?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Hamilton Computer Repairs.
Repairs?
Yep.
You got your intro?
I'm almost there, Manuel.
What do you think it'll be? You could let's talk it out. What do you want your intro to be for this
Real
one?
quick.
He's
How would you like to be
Oh, there's
announced?
also body modification is another topic.
I can change the color
What?
profile to get a little
Yeah,
softer.
so, anyone got a paperclip or something small and magnetic?
Small
So I
and
really
magnetic.
thought, I don't have one yet.
Your
One
hand?
what? I have a few things.
A
Which-
paperclip.
Oh, paperclip.
But
No,
they
I
might.
have a paperclip.
What is, so,
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so for body modification, I have,
Color profile.
about 7 chips. So like near field communication, RFID, the kind of things like
Oh, so
dog
you like
tags
open your door
or
with your...
exactly.
Yeah, I've seen that on
Already.
Yeah. If you have an iPhone, I can bump my business card to you with
I
this one.
do. Wait, we should do
Wait,
that.
what? Your business card is in your hand?
Yeah.
Let's do. We gotta do that on air.
Might not work with that case, but essentially
I
just
know,
make
this
sure.
case-
and
Is
it's
that a good
used-
thing though? This case, because I noticed
also
that I
have
can't
drones.
charge with this.
Wait, is that an iPhone or?
No, it's
Okay, so I recently reprogrammed it. Is it on the home screen?
No,
Okay,
it's
get it on the home
No, it's a Galaxy 25. Oh,
screen.
it
There we
worked.
go.
What happened?
So, click Chrome. I just gave him my contact
That's
card.
so cool.
implant?
And his
I
which finger?
guess.
So click. I think it's the.
It must be,
DCF.
right?
Is it your middle finger? That
Yes.
would've been a good finger for it.
Yeah.
It's the
It's
future,
right here.
right?
Yeah, that's so cool.
But actually, it's this thing.
That's so cool.
So that's just this one's
Look
bigger.
at
That's
that.
what I want to see, but it looks like
Wait, it filled out a whole contact.
wild.
So what
See,
this
we
is?
should have done this on the show.
we can do it
No,
again. I mean, I've
But
got
with
the
that,
video.
with
But
that,
we've got.
I'll try. I'm not a great actor.
Yeah.
I'll try.
So that one.
known him for
I mean,
too
I've got a
long.
bunch of other ones. That's just got
It
better reception because it's
World.
got an actual chip.
Terrifying.
Then
Alright, let me
there's.
see if I
Bro
can-
is
I'm
bro
gonna
is
try
an
to-
android, dude. He's a
That's
robot
wild.
over there.
I mean, that's what
My-
I'm saying is.
my
When you
thing
said
is-
business card on your hand, I thought it was gonna be like a magic trick, like he's gonna pull a business card.
So it might. It's a. Yeah.
This-
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
it worked. Yeah, yeah.
So the
this-
problem is the
Out of box is the shit, man.
Yeah, but on Android phones, the antenna's in a different place every time. iPhones, it's always the same fucking place at the top.
What do you mean?
I mean,
It floats?
iPhones. No. I mean, different models have
Different
different.
Oh, I gotcha.
These
Like,
these
wait, is
new
it
ones
floating
though,
away?
I got the S23 Plus. It's a rocket ship. I don't even know what. Like I feel like I could take over the world with just this phone.
Bro, it's already 12.
All right, let's get going.
Okay.
So we're gonna, just so you know, we're gonna air this episode this upcoming Wednesday.
Okay.
Because I thought there was some sense of urgency with the right to repair, no?
There always is. This is the first big thing I'm talking about, so that works. I essentially prepared notes for this. So the short version is, we should take action in the next 6-ish weeks.
Okay, yeah,
but-
so this Wednesday upcoming will be this one, and then the following one will
Do we
be-
get it?
Even though I said St. Patrick's Day on that,
Yeah.
maybe we should,
Deb, do you think?
maybe we should edit that St. Patrick's thing out.
Do you want
I don't know.
this one a different
Tired.
SD card or no? Doesn't matter.
Is that empty, SD card is empty at least?
Yeah, it was. I filmed it
David
before.
Webb of Hamilton Computer Repairs.
Computer repairs.
Computer repairs.
Blah, blah, blah.
Well,
Are you ready?
hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy. Not yet. I'm just.
Practice, go for it.
I'm
Mine's
doing what Leanne told me to do. I'm listening to mom. Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Manny, and I am here on a whole new fantastic episode of interviews with my boy, Mr. David Webb of Hamilton Computer Repairs. How you doing, my man?
I am doing well.
Good.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Oh, my bad.
No. Don't start it.
That was a good. That
Yeah, I
was a
like
pretty
it.
good intro, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think Danny was ready for me yet.
I wasn't
no.
recording.
Alright, that's how I'm about to-
I'm recording now.
I'm recording.
Alright, I'm gonna step out.
Just go. All right. You ready? All right. Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Manny, and we are here for another fantastic episode of interviews. And I'm with my boy David Webb
Oh,
of Hamilton. Now you can do it. You can join me. Listen, it's a party here.
You got it.
There are no rules. We can do whatever we want, together, individually.
On the
It's
count
up
of
to
3,
you.
my name and in business.
1, 2, 3.
David Webb of Hamilton Computer Repairs.
Do we get it? I
I
got
think we did.
nervous. You made me nervous. Because
Sorry.
I didn't want to mess up your. This is your business. This is your baby.
It's okay. People can Google it.
That's true. They can Google it. And Hamilton is with one M. Is Hamilton usually with one M?
Yes.
Emma, not M.
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like the play. Although technically, I don't know if we were around first. When was Hamilton written?
Ooh, that's a good question. But I know the guy was around way before you.
Yeah, way before. My business has been around since 2012. Hamilton's
Word.
probably older.
Tell me a little bit about the whole beginning, the birth of Hamilton Computer Repairs.
Okay, so like most things in my life, they're kind of spite fueled. In the aspect of so the reason I got into computer repairs in the first place was to overcome limitations.
Okay.
Now these days the limitations, as we'll talk about later, are from manufacturers. But at that time it was my dad saying I couldn't use a computer after I think it was like 9 p.m. on school nights. And that was not an unreasonable limitation,
Yeah.
but fuck that. So
Right, I hear you.
I met a friend in detention who I'm actually still friends with. And
Let me ask you real quick. I don't mean to interrupt you, but did you have good grades? Okay, anyway, you met your friend in your detention, I don't wanna lose that story, go ahead.
And I talked to him about advice, and he talked to his best friend, who essentially said, just install Linux on it. So I'm trying to install Linux on my computer, which bypasses my dad's security software that locks me out after 9
And you were
p.m.
how old at this time?
16.
Okay. Oh my god, my son's about to be 15, I'm in trouble soon.
Well, I mean, the first pass, just careful with home computers. Passwords are not actually, anyways, that's a whole other thing. Anyways, so I bypassed that software and I then accidentally erased the drive on my computer, which forced me to reinstall Windows on my laptop, which is now one of the most common things we do for customers. And the story is relevant because at every stage, the reason I've done something differently with computers is really to get past a limitation from an external source. So the reason I got into this business is because I was doing I was doing computer repairs out of my backpack for a long while, and then I started doing it at a pawn shop. Because the pawn shop owner, there's a stage before that, which is after working in a bunch of computer repair shops in Worcester, I partnered with someone to open one in the Denholm building, actually, very downtown Worcester.
That's prime real estate.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time it was still completely dead, but it was central to everything.
Right, I mean, it's easily accessible.
Yeah,
Well, parking's
yeah.
kind of a bitch, but.
Right, yeah, exactly. But I was still going to Quincy at the time, so I would literally catch the bus. It would drop me off downtown in front, and that was, anyways. That partnership was going downhill. The guy was he wasn't a bad businessman in the sense of not having. He wasn't of low integrity, but he didn't have capital or great customer service. He was a good technician.
Just kind of existing though.
Yeah, but he was, when it comes, there's a lot of people who are great at what they do, so they start charging money for it, but they don't have the bookkeeping skills, the customer service skills, any of the other things around. Yeah, there's a lot of people, it's not just, don't worry about
That's
it.
me.
There's a whole, there's so many books anyways.
Yeah.
But I was ruining my reputation by working with him because he was, taking deposits for repairs and then using it to pay rent because he needed rent money instead of ordering parts, and my reputation was getting harmed by sticking around. So I got an offer from a pawn shop owner to effectively just start working out of there. I would keep half of the repairs. He would pay me a flat fee to do his computers weekly and post his, and that was great. So we, about 6 months into that, he wants me to do busy work. It's the summer, which is the slow season for computer repairs. Everyone's outside. No one's, computers can wait till back to school season at that point. So he wanted me to do busy work and post all his stuff on Craigslist. I didn't feel like I was being paid enough for busy work, so we were renegotiating, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna go back to working out of my backpack. And he's like, okay, you wanna rent my dad's storefront? And so I did. And so that's how I originally got into computer repair, was essentially one, fuck that, I'm not dealing with this bullshit after another.
Word.
And are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, are you cool? No, not really? You sure?
Okay, good. Anyways, so it was one after another, and mostly what really comes down to is what got me into being a small business owner is authority issues. Now, flash forward to about, at this point, 8 months ago, I don't know, middle of last year, my 10-year anniversary in business, the 10-year anniversary of our grand opening was June 1st, last year. And 2 months before that, I got non-renewed on my lease. My landlord, the whole big thing, I've been ranting about on my podcast. So you don't get subpoenaed, I'm not going to discuss it here. But
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I literally am handing over shit to my lawyer this week. It's miserable, but necessary.
Sorry to hear
It's it's okay. I'm going to get a lot of money from it in the end.
Nice.
But anyways, she non-renewed me at the very, very last moment. And so I had the choice of effectively letting my business, I was planning on selling my business. Opening a gun shop, and so I wasn't
That's like a
planning.
whole other world.
Yeah, no, that's seriously. When we talked about what do you want to talk about today, that's on the like I've got a whole federal investigation followed by a redemption story that we could talk about on some other. Anyways,
we'll get there.
yeah, 117 firearms in less than 16 months, and currently no charges anymore. It's all clear.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a fascinating long story. Anyways, I was gonna open a gun shop. I wasn't planning on having a computer repair business right now.
Right.
I wasn't planning on having one in July of last year. I was in the process of lining up a buyer for mine. I had a friend who had a similar mentality to me. Anyways, So I couldn't hand it over to someone because I couldn't. That she wasn't willing. Like I essentially either had to find a new place for my business or allow my business to die on its 10-year birthday.
Oh no, we can't do that.
Right. So instead, I, as I said, spite fueled, found a new place, a few storefronts down the road, not a few storefronts, but like 3 blocks down the Park Ave. It's bigger, it's better, and we're building it out. But the real answer to your question, what got me into computer repairs as a business, is the difficulty with computers. The fact that, it's, you want to upgrade something, you have to know exactly what you're doing, you have to figure this out, you have to be able to get that part. It used to be a lot easier. It used to be, and that was one of the things I loved about this, was anyone with a screwdriver and YouTube could get into this business.
Yeah, that's what I thought, when I got my computer, back in the 90s, is when I got my first computer. I can't even remember what kind it was. I know I was on MS-DOS. Do you remember that? You can go
No,
back.
I started
How
with,
old are you?
I'm 32, I started with XP.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know, most of my nerd friends started with 98 or DOS.
Yeah, I was in DOS. I was in like 95 was when I first got into computers. And so I was like 11 years old. And it was so easy. And it was like so easy to upgrade. You could do it at home. You could just go buy the disk that you needed, the software or whatever. Or if you needed a new motherboard, go to the store, get a motherboard with more
Yeah, you could upgrade.
bells and whistles and
upgrade
just
memory
pop that
with
bad
one
boy in and
screwdriver.
go. Now it's like, I'm so afraid to buy a computer because I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And
So
I don't
this
know
is
if I
gonna
can
be an
afford to
interesting
maintain
segue.
this computer.
That's exactly where we're going with this. So, have you purchased a protection plan in the past 2 years?
No, so listen, every time I go to Walmart or Best Buy, they said, you want a protection plan? I'm like, for what? I'm like, I'm not gonna throw my computer across the
No,
room.
but think about that. For what? Because no, we're actually going to talk about this.
I
This
just
is
think
one of
they're
my
trying to
main
rob me.
points. Yes, why?
He said yes, because chances of me actually using that protection plan are slim. And I've also found from my own experience in the past of trying to get a protection plan because, $800 on a phone, I'm poor. You know what I mean? So $800 is a lot. So I'm like, all right, I'll get the protection plan. And my first thought was, if I crack the screen, check this out, right? My charger port went, and they're like, sorry, that's not covered. You need a screen or a battery, we got you. But your charger port,
Yeah,
no,
so,
time to get a new phone, buddy.
yep, protection plans are such bullshit on so many levels, but why did you buy that one? It was an $800 phone,
Yeah,
but
I
you
was
could,
desperate.
no,
I was
but,
under duress.
but you could go get it fixed, right?
That was the intent, yeah.
No, I mean, no, with the, I'm saying, even if you didn't buy that plan, you could go get it fixed, right?
I mean, I don't know, honestly. I would say yes. You could go to like a little phone repair shop, yeah?
But you don't know, I guess where I'm going with this, you don't know and you're not sure, would you bring it to a phone repair shop? And then, if they tell you it's $300, because that's a $220 screen, and then an $80 labor, are you gonna actually consider putting $300 into your phone that's,
No, I'd probably just buy a new phone.
yeah. So, the reason I'm
Upgrade.
asking
I
about
mean,
this.
they die so, well, they go out of, they fade away so quick. I don't know what the word I'm trying to look
No,
for.
I mean,
Outdated.
what?
Outdated is what I think you're trying to get to.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to talk about. So I'm so glad that you're the one who brought that up, because what this really comes down to is, it's not a protection plan, it's a protection racket.
Tell me more.
Well, rackets are effectively businesses that.
Oh, I know
are
what a
only-
racket is.
Well-
I'm very familiar. I've never been part of one, but I'm very familiar what a racket is.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you buy an iPhone from an Apple store, they're going to try and sell you Apple Care.
Yeah.
And the reason they're going to tell you you need Apple Care is because if it breaks.
Yeah, but they're the ones breaking it.
Well, so they're the ones making it easy to break, and they're the ones. They're not the ones breaking it. You're the one breaking it.
No, they are, because they make a phone. Yes, I am the one breaking it, but they're the one helping me to break it. Because you know how many times I've chucked this thing across the room and not once have I cracked my screen? Samsung Galaxy, by the way, not sponsored, but I'm just saying.
No, those screens are so much worse, and Samsung.
What do you mean? These are worse?
Samsung is worse than Apple in all the ways Apple is, but they're Android, which means they should be better, and they're not.
I'm attacked.
I will get back to that rant in a moment.
Yeah, okay, let's get back to that, because I need to know.
Yeah, I have so many feelings about Samsung. Anyways, we were talking about protection plans,
Yes.
bracket. The reason I'm going to with this is because Apple, so one, it's not just Apple. When it comes to right to repair, this is so many different companies. But
Apple's just the most.
Apple's the easiest to use as an
Famous,
example, because if you go to their Apple Care page, where they list their Apple Care products, They will advertise that with that is the only way you can get pretty much fast, reliable service. They use different words, but when you think about it, what they have done is they have commoditized the knowledge and access to repair. And this is not an exaggeration. They've restricted it, and now they're commoditizing it. They've restricted it because they don't provide it. You can't buy parts for Apple products from Apple or from any of the people who made Apple products. You can't get instructions on how to fix anything from Apple or any of the people who fix Apple stuff. And if you, like let's say there's a Max at Work, an authorized repair place in Shrewsbury on Route 20.
Yeah.
If they were to give me another repair shop, any of the schematics that Apple has provided them, they would be susceptible to significant losses. So, in other words,
wouldn't it just be easier then for you to go get the
Yeah, but then I
training
only
and
have to-
everything necessary to become an authorized Apple repair?
Sure. So then I would have to buy parts from them, which is significantly more expensive than any of my current vendors, which would of course increase the cost to
So
consumers.
I heard an argument about that as well.
There's more to this because
Okay.
I'd only be able to actually then work on. So the big benefit of coming to a shop like me instead of bringing it to Apple is you have a 7-year-old Mac and we're like, sure, no problem. We'll open it up, figure out what's wrong, and swap the part.
Yeah.
You bring them one and they're like, ooh, sorry, that's out of service.
Right.
I'm Apple
Well,
authorized.
because they want you to buy the newest product, of course.
Yes. So that's the thing. This is it's not about corporate greed. It's actually about control. What it really comes down to is they control you don't own your devices. You are leasing it until it dies for the purchase price.
Wait, no.
Okay. So you own your device and then it dies, and if you aren't currently paying them to support it,
I feel manipulated.
well, you're a consumer,
I don't like it.
and that's why we need right to repair. So the thing about right to repair, everyone's like, well, what is it? Right to repair is saying to a company, you have to provide the consumers with instruction manuals on how to fix shit, like, tell people how to open your shit up, and sell the parts. That's it. That's literally what this one does. The other one, it's that actual simple.
And what about I don't know even know if this matters with the right to repair, but like pricing, because I mean, I can say fine, I'll sell the parts, and then I'll sell you a part that costs me $5 for $200 because I can do that.
So to answer your question, we have vehicular right to repair in Massachusetts. We got that like 8-ish years ago, and it's still being fought at various levels in lawsuits because what car manufacturers have done is instead of they released the software that was previously proprietary only to dealers. But they've released it at prohibitively expensive prices. So if you wanted to open a mechanics shop, even if you could afford a lift and shop rent, then you also have to afford subscriptions. I think BMW is like, I don't remember what it was, but it was $29. It was like over $20 a day to have access to.
Every car is electronic now.
Yeah, well, so that's what the whole vehicular right to repair thing was about, was stopping it from being completely limited, so you had to have a subscription to even work on the vehicle.
Oh.
Which is effectively where we're at with phones. Apple, every iPhone has a proprietary processor that everything runs through. And so what this means is that Apple could, with a software update, render every single phone that has had a third-party screen replacement done useless. And they've demonstrated this because a few years ago, they released a software update, and everyone who had third-party screen replacements done has started getting a pop-up message.
Yeah.
So that was actually why I ended up leaving Google a few years ago when the Pixel started switching over to proprietary processors. They're doing the same thing, and all companies are. So when I say it's not Apple, they're just leading the way.
Sneaky little way of making those third-party parts. No, that's not nice.
So to some level or another, it makes sense. Like if you take away the consumer rights and the let's do things for the sake of people aspect from it, this makes perfect sense. Why the fuck would they sell us a device every 6 years when instead they could sell us one every 2 years and then charge us? Because again, protection plans. So then you're paying $8 to $13 a month for your device in case anything goes wrong because of their fucking design. Plus storage. You have to remember. How often have Apple doesn't make it easy to offload your anything to anywhere. I once had a music teacher who...
That's one thing I love about Samsung. I can offload my stuff all the time, but that's the point. I do offload it all the time, too. It's annoying.
Well, but they, they allow you to. Have you ever tried to get your music out of iTunes into something else?
No.
Well, many people are still with Apple because they tried and found out it was
iTunes.
difficult.
I have no idea what it is. We're getting the signals from back there. That's what the big smile was about. We see you, and we got more to go. We're gonna keep coming with. I mean, we're really just touching the very tip of the iceberg here with Right to Repair, and I'm sure you're gonna fill me
Yeah.
in with the rest of the iceberg.
I've got a few specific action items for people, as well as where they can find out more, as well as shirts. These shirts are gonna be for sale.
So tune into the second part on YouTube and Facebook at Manny Jae Media, so you can know all you need to know about the Right to Repair Act and how it affects you, how you can get involved. I'm Manny,
And I'm David Webb.
and this is Interviews. We will be right back. All right.
Are the 20-minute things because for battery changes?
No. So we found that, I've been studying the metrics on Facebook and Instagram for about 3 years now, because of the work that I've done with Manny. And what I found is that Meta intentionally slows down shows that are over 20 minutes long. They do it on purpose. They do it in several levels. So Manny and I started focusing on smaller segment shows because we want to convert every follower to a full view. And by full view, I don't mean 13-second views. So if you go and look on Facebook and it says 1.3 million views, that's not true. That's
1.3 million people click start.
yeah, they click start and they watch
Did they actually get all
13
the
seconds
information?
because that's their cutoff is 13 seconds. So what we have tried to do is getting all the people to watch the videos to watch all the way through.
Yeah.
So we started to deliver on that by creating smaller videos. And so it's really an hour-long show,
Yeah.
and we just took it and made 3 commercial break segments,
Yep.
So,
and it tricks the algorithm a little bit. And
and
so
essentially, we're accommodating you as the guest because we still give you the hour of interviewing time and get whatever information you need to get out. But then we're accommodating the audience in that they don't have to sit there through the whole hour, and it's
Yeah.
easier to come back to a 20-minute, and search to a 20-minute segment than
Yeah,
it would
they
be
can
an
resume
hour.
it at, they just, don't have to worry about where they were in the podcast.
when we did the superintendent show, I started testing it at different people's places. And so if you just put in that week, if you put in M on Facebook Watch, our video was the first one, which is pretty amazing. And so now I don't know how long that lasted. Maybe it lasted an hour, maybe it lasted 2 hours. But those reviews, those aren't our organic followers. Those are people outside of the traditional, how they're keeping people down. So that's the reason why we're doing that.
Yeah, cool.
I have a whole theory. I got a paper I'm working on. It's all that stuff.
It's
That's
cool.
part of it.
This is cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you like him. Appreciate it. And,
Are you ready?
I'm gonna be doing more too. Like there's some of the ones, like with certain artists in the community, because I don't want to censor people at all. We're probably gonna be doing at is it Eastmount?
Level up.
East, huh?
We'll do a level up for that one.
Oh,
We
Level
can
Up.
do it easy
Oh yeah.
one, but I think level up will have a better setup.
I've never been to Level Up. We gotta go check it out.
Real quick, because I like everything that's happening. The term planned obsolescence.
Yes.
You with me?
Yep.
So-
have I not already said
Don't
it?
no you're.
You lost me.
No,
Okay.
but him.
You lost me.
So the point is that part of this thing is his reactions.
Yeah.
So it's
We
it's
gotta
good.
do that again.
And what was
Blew
that
my
other thing you said?
mind, genuinely.
Commonize or something?
What?
Commonize? Or you said something about them.
Hoppinize.
Commonize is what I was thinking, but maybe.
Which
Right.
contest? Which?
About them making it so we couldn't fix our phones. Or. I thought that. I was just trying to get that
Oh,
word, but.
they've commoditized.
Okay.
They've commoditized knowledge and access to parts.
It's good stuff.
And I'm like, there's literally quoting from Apple, not quoting, but Apple's. If you go to Google Apple Care, the repair page starts talking about how, it's about their knowledge and we have the parts here. So like this is such a clear example.
Just so you know, every sound guy in the world, right here, agrees with you because Crown and Behringer, I swear, I don't even need the schematic. I just want to know the values.
Yeah, literally.
Just tell me the values, and I can fix it myself. I don't even need anybody else.
So
but they
that's why I'm
won't
so
do that.
glad you started off with here's how it used to be, because that's the difficult part to explain to people is that like we need this because we're going in the wrong direction, not because we haven't ever had the right thing.
Right.
We know how to do it. They just don't want us to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, because that makes them money.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
At the end of the day, it's all about retention of the client.
Right.
So that way they can keep getting that money. Because once they sell you $800 phone, listen,
Oh,
if
then
you
there-
go back to like,
Let's
my
start
mom
on
had her
retention.
TV for like 20 fucking years.
Yeah. Let's start on the subject of customer retention practices.
You ready?
Yeah.
I think.
I am recording now. Recording.
Hey yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, man. You know what I just realized I've been missing? What's up, beautiful world? It's your boy, Manny, and this is InnerViews, and I'm with my man David Webb of Hamilton Computer Repairs here in Worcester, Massachusetts. Look him up. You're everywhere, right? Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. We just reactivated the Hamilton Computer Repairs Instagram page. I've not touched that for about 8 years, but we're about to start using it. You can also friend me on Facebook. If I don't recognize you, I might not, but if we have 30 mutual friends because you live in Worcester and that's how it is, then I'll accept
It's
it.
such a small town,
It really
big
is.
city. It's a big city with small town vibes.
It really, really is.
And they're so nosy. Everybody's so nosy. But hey, that's what you get in a small town. We all know each other's business. But no, seriously, go check out his social media if you have any computer, right? And
Yeah, we
It
work
could
on
be
Macs
any
and
electronics?
Windows. Not any electronics. So we specifically do computers. I stay away from phones. I recommend New England Wireless on West Boylston Street in Worcester for phone repairs. Also 911 iPhone repair in Auburn. Both
Right.
places are great. They keep inventory.
Don't
So
cross-promotion.
it's the reason we don't actually do phones is because you have to stay up to date on all of them. You know, most computers, you know, it might be a slightly different variant, but when we're opening it up, it's gotten worse in the past few years. But for the most part, the components are still the same.
Yeah.
On phones, it's like a motherboard, a camera,
Right.
a screen, and a chassis. And anything dies, it's your motherboard. And also, everyone wants their phone back immediately.
Mhm.
And I don't have the patience for that crap.
Well, yeah, I mean, going a day without your phone is like, it's hard. So I
Yeah.
can imagine week or weeks, you know,
Yeah,
without
well,
your phone. That
so
could be hard.
our options are either maintaining inventory for every part that we might have a customer walk in the door with, which means like every variation of Samsung, you know, from the last 3 years in each color,
Yeah.
or you know, ordering it when they bring it in which case anyone's like, what do you mean it's going to be 3 days for you to get my Samsung screen? You know, I call it the kiosk factor, because even though, you know, they're still thinking about cell phones, people walk in expecting to be able to walk out 2 hours later with a replaced screen on their computer.
Right.
You know, we explain to people we're not, there's, you know, in auto business they have CAP, they have advanced auto parts or whatever, they can just go to call down the street and have a fender delivered.
Right.
We're dealing with warehouses across the country, sometimes out of the country, and we explain that to everyone. We have a great schematic that gives time frames, but we still have to get past the what did I call it? The mall kiosk effect.
And I
People
mean, a
expect
lot of the time too, these companies aren't making it easy for you to even attain some of the parts or the knowledge, you know, the
Well, so opening things up, we've got pretty solid, because those limitations are mostly. I mean, like on things like Surfaces, you know, they're not designed to be opened. You have to take off the screen, and then you know you can't exactly put it back on. So unless if someone comes in with a cracked screen on a Surface, we could take it out and then carefully glue it back in. But the fact of the matter is, then that replacement part costs about half the actual machine. So most machines, we can open them no problem, but then getting the replacement parts is difficult because manufacturers are contractually obligating the brand manufacturers like Dell. Let's use Apple as an example, because I love hating on Apple, and
Yeah.
they're the main problem
and they
here.
got enough money to take it.
Yeah, yeah. So Apple is a good example because, you know, often, let's say, you've probably seen a friend who has an Apple MacBook that the only thing's wrong is the screen is dim.
Yeah.
It's not that there's nothing on the screen, but there's something, you know.
Or have you ever seen that line that goes through the screen?
Well, so that's
That's annoying.
probably an impact thing. Like
Okay.
that's probably something hit the screen somewhere.
Right.
And that's
It's like a penny too.
right. Oh, literally a grain of rice. We've
It could
seen
be
it.
anything, yeah.
No. We've literally had
Oh,
a
you've
customer
actually literally seen it.
literally comes in and they're like, I had a grain of rice on my palm rest. They closed their MacBook Pro, big rainbow. It's kind of silly how fragile these things are. Also, while we're on the topic of how fragile they are, cosmetics. Apple has just like there is no way they don't have engineers saying we need something that looks pretty and is easily scuffed up.
Yeah.
Because they know their customers are going to get rid of it the moment it looks used, and so they
don't
use
wanna
metals
replace it.
that
And that brings us to the great customer retention.
customer retention.
And you know, all of this is that. It's all about the bottom line, which is that mighty green dollar. And, you know, they don't wanna sell us something that, you know, they can only get one sale out of, they gotta figure out how to get that money
So
perpetuating, right?
my business model is break fix, and what that means is people break something, we fix it.
Yeah,
Most
Makes
companies, it does. So a lot of companies have started out as break fix, often transition into MSPs, managed service providers,
Mhm.
effectively IT companies for hire. Like a, an office firm who doesn't want to have IT companies in-house outsources to them.
Yeah.
The reason this is important is because the reason all companies switch towards that model is because, as break fix, if I do my job well, we see a customer once every 3 years. That's not really great reoccurring revenue. So the only way we stay in business is by doing this for a lot of people. Most people want more consistent revenue. So what they aim for is what's called reoccurring monthly revenue, RMR.
Mm.
So the reason I'm mentioning this is because Apple, as a hardware manufacturer, is in a RMR business model now with their subscriptions based for Apple Care, their subscriptions for drive storage, and their customers are not going anywhere at this point. They've got customers for life who are just, when their device dies, they're going to buy another Apple product.
right.
So now what they've effectively done is made it so that, their customers are replacing their devices every 1 to 3 years because they're already paying for protection plans, they're already paying for this, I don't know if you've ever tried to get away from Android. It's not that difficult, but you have to set everything up. Imagine how difficult it is to leave Apple, and ask anyone who's ever tried.
I tell you, I don't wanna leave, Android for the simple fact that it's cheaper, first and foremost. I mean, they're starting to compete though with that price though.
Well, so one of the reasons.
Cause my Galaxy was like $850 when I bought it, and I was like, bro, I mean, it's a little steep, but then my son, of course, the kids always get the better stuff. He got the iPhone, and that was like $1,300. It was he got the new one.
Well, so the way they tend to do it is with different tiered options. So they control the market because, they have like $800 iPhones. They're not great, but they're new $800 iPhones.
Right.
And now that's what people are thinking about.
Yeah, but I don't want the $800 iPhone when I'm looking at everybody else with the iPhone 14 out there, and I'm like, I want that. I want the best,
So that's another one of their perceived value things. They gave you tiers and they make the nicer ones look nicer.
Yeah.
So they another one of those things we should talk about when we're in the contrast here, green texts. You know how people rant about that?
Yeah, I get picked on all the time. Okay, green boy. Yeah, I get it.
But they specifically, psychologically made people no one wants to be a green text person if you're currently a blue text person.
As long as the text gets through, who cares what color the bubble is?
You say it doesn't matter, but it does to a lot of people. Like this is.
You think that's like a?
There are people who won't date people because they end up texting back in green.
I don't know if I want to date someone who's that shallow.
I agree, but Apple knows this and is capitalizing
You don't
on
even
it.
care how I look. You care what my bubble looks like? What?
Well, I mean,
That's
something.
wild.
Maybe they associate Android with people who are being cheap. They're like, Apple has branded themselves as the premium, nicer, smart product.
Well then, I don't wanna go there and I don't need no Apple lady anyway.
Well, I think it's worth noting though that the brand is the identity with it. Their most successful ad campaign was the no products. It was just a bunch of people dancing with hip music. They're selling an image, a lifestyle, you're part of this thing with I think it was with the AirPods. It was just that, and it was like they made themselves iconic. So people aren't paying them. Apple used to be you would buy it because it lasted a long time, and then Steve Jobs died, and they became innovative with capitalism instead.
Yeah, another word for greedy. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs did it.
Well, no. I actually genuinely mean they were innovative with capitalism. I mean, they started giving school children laptops so that they would start out like this was. I mean, they were deliberate.
Did they really though? Or
yes.
Or is this conditioning? Is this grooming?
Yes. Either way, no. I mean, that's the thing. That's for capitalism. That's a relatively new. They were, it's difficult to leave an ecosystem once you're set up into it.
Yeah.
So they are actively getting people hooked, for lack of a better phrase, really early. Because once you're familiar with it, you're not going to want to go out of it.
Right. And not only that, when you're giving school kids things, people are more likely to want to come support you in your business.
Oh, well, it's also
see
a
your
huge tax
philanthropy.
deduction on their end. That's the side no one ever talks about. All of these good Samaritan acts that really end up being for the tax dollars,
Right.
the tax benefits.
They're mainly for the betterment of the business than they are for the philanthropy of it, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know. There's, do you know anyone who works for New York Life?
I do.
Okay, so
I want to know where you're going with this because.
well, I mean, it's a pyramid scheme, but
Okay, yeah, that's where my mind was at.
but not actually. It's really
It's kind of schemy.
it's more of a franchise in the aspect of like but it's totally preying on people who want to then prey on their friends.
Right.
And like step one, target all your people on social media, become a nuisance.
Right.
Anyways, where I'm going with this, the
Constantly
reason
remind people that they're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
Our business makes money off your death.
Yeah, but anyways, where was I going with New York Life? This was relevant. Keeping everything together. What did I just say right before that? New York Life, insurance, scams.
Yeah, I got lost too.
Sorry, this was. too many
That's my
tangents.
job, everybody.
Lost-
It's to keep us on track.
Lost my train of thought. Anyways, it's a big scam.
Yeah.
And it's there was definitely a relevant thing
Well,
here.
we were talking about, the capitalism of it all and philanthropy and
Philanthropy.
how- yeah.
One of the things. So that's so any active, and you'll see this a lot in realtors. They will donate a ton as part of their practice. And the reason, and it's never actually, it's always big, showy, get a lot of people involved, and then donate things. And sometimes they're actually helping, but it's always backpack drive level things where it's more about the community act. I guess what I'm trying to say is, always question it when you see the companies keep donating shit. It's a lot of it is they need an image of we give back to our community, so they do.
Right.
But it's really
So it's out of heartstrings. Makes
Yeah.
us want to be more involved with their business.
But when you
if
see
we
the
see them
finance,
giving back to our community.
yes, exactly. But when you see financing people do it and realtors know that it is being accounted for as an adjustment on a different line. Like, yes, they are giving away this money, but this money is compensating for how much money they made elsewhere.
Right.
Like, this is all part of the plan, and like the obnoxious part is this is what they're telling all their customers to do. And then they're doing it themselves, but they're not honest with anyone about it. They're like, yeah, we're doing good, come help our community. Anyways, that's what, really Apple doesn't have to be the bad guy here. So a company that's doing things right when it comes to right to repair is Framework. They're creating devices that are designed to be upgraded by customers. They're not perfect because you still really can only buy parts from them. In an ideal perfect world, this would all be modular. But we're not going for an ideal perfect world. We're going for a world where we're not trapped in replacing devices,
Right.
where things aren't going to a landfill because of corporate greed.
But I mean, I still feel trapped because I don't know Framework, right?
Mhm.
I'm comfortable and confident with iPhone or Samsung to know that I'm getting the best of the best, and if anything happens, I can get it easily repaired, easily replaced. I mean, at least that's what we're led to believe.
But then you try to actually use that replacement plan, and there's any excuse they can use to not full honor it. They do.
Right.
Like you mentioned, what was it, DC Jack earlier?
Yeah.
Like all of these contracts have
Or
one.
even the screen, it depends on how you dropped it. Like, did you throw it? We can't fix that. You know what I mean?
Right, and they never disclose the extent of any of these when they're always like, you want a protection plan in case anything happens? Oh, sorry, that's not covered by anything.
Water damage isn't covered, and that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
You could drop your phone in a puddle really
Right.
easily, or in the toilet.
No, but the
Yeah,
fact
that
that
happened.
you get these, I haven't, but I've heard about it from so many different people.
I've never happened.
I've actually dropped my phone. Well, I've dropped my phone so many times. I've cracked one phone somehow. It was my Nexus 5, 7 years ago, and it was like off a bedside table. It was like the smallest drop. It was so upsetting.
Yeah.
I've dropped so many phones so much higher than that.
Yeah. But yeah, you can chuck a phone across the room, nothing happens.
Sometimes. iPhone screens are not like that was part of what I actually gave Apple a try again a few years ago. The reason I left them was all of the limitations and 5 minutes. Okay, all of the limitations. So I gave them a chance again because they let people choose their own keyboard. They let people choose their default web browser. They let people choose a fuck ton of things that up until like that month they hadn't. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll give you guys a chance. Also, the iPhone 13 mini was the smallest smartphone readily available. I'd switched literally to a Motorola Razr because it fits in my pocket. But anyways, the iPhone mini was small enough. I left because it started slowing down after a year. The phone was still glitchy. All of the problems that like are supposed to be resolved by being in, you know, Apple's protective walled garden of peace of mind weren't actually there. You know, things used to, like, I remember 4 years ago, Instagram didn't work on Android, and it did on iPhone. It was one of the reasons I was like, okay, fine, fuck it, I'll switch. DJI, my drone apps, weren't working on Android. They would on iPhone. And I'm like, you know what, fine. I will give up with being treated like a second, you know, clear tier user because I'm on Android. Like, if companies would actually prioritize their iPhone apps over Android apps because that's where the users with money is.
Yeah. So what do you think about Samsung catching up?
Oh,
with the
right,
game?
cool,
Because
okay.
They are catching up.
When you say catching up to
I mean,
what?
I got Instagram now.
Oh, yeah. So companies have started being better, but that reminds me of all my Samsung rant and why fuck Samsung.
Yeah,
So
okay.
originally they
Oh.
had TouchWiz. No, I mean as a company, not their products are also gimmicky as fuck, and you know they release a new one every year, which they could release one really fucking good device every 3 years.
Yeah.
They don't because it's why the hell would they?
Right.
No companies would, but I guess what I'm trying. Instead, they release like 20 variations of mediocre devices with like 3 premium ones every year. Anyways, they originally locked people into TouchWiz, which was their. Remember when Android was different depending on what brand phone you got? Like now they're all mostly the same.
Yeah.
Remember how Samsung's was wildly different?
Yeah.
Remember how it had its own messaging app, mail app, etc. That's the bullshit that Apple pulls. They try to lock you into their thing so that if you switch to another texting app, you don't have all of your shit.
And truthfully, I won't go to a lesser tier phone because I'm so spoiled with the features on the phone I have.
So how many of those features are things you actually need or
I
you?
don't use any of them
But
on a
they're
regular basis,
right.
to be
But they're
honest
gimmicks
with
that you love.
But I have them. Oh, the parts that I love?
Yeah. So like what
Well,
features? I guess what
My
I'm trying to say
camera,
is-
mainly.
Mhm.
And can we talk about that real quick?
Sure.
Too? I don't know if this is
Yeah,
right to
let's
repair,
do
but
it. Cameras.
bro, I feel like Samsung got the market on lock with the camera. I'm
So-
not a
so
big
they put-
iPhone camera fan.
So iPhone, what iPhone did well early was autofocus. iPhone had a camera
Yeah, I
that
don't have good autofocus.
yeah, Samsung hasn't. So
Like whenever I'm doing
unfortunately-
video, it's like wah wah. It's you know what I'm
Yes.
saying that full in and
Yep.
out. Yeah.
So Samsung has powerful cameras. They throw together powerful hardware with high-end specs because they know that at this day and age, people are looking at the actual numbers. I don't care how little or how much you know about cameras. When you're looking at a phone these days, you are looking at resolution and megapixels and how many fucking cameras it has, because that is what everyone is contrasting.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, they have caught up and started putting in better cameras, but they're still, and their hardware is good. Their devices are still designed to be pretty rather than durable, rather than reliable. Which is the Apple bullshit. Like, you know, it's aesthetics over function. They also, like I said, tried to lock people into, like, there was an agreement with Google and Samsung like 6 or 7 years ago that stopped this, but they were trying to lock people into their own ecosystem of apps, that's what I was talking about when I said they're the Apple of Android, and it's bullshit. But also, their devices are so fragile. Like, you've had good luck with that thing, but I'm pretty sure it's gotta be thanks to that OtterBox.
Yeah, probably. Shout out to OtterBox and whatever I do have a screen protector film.
That makes
I don't
a
know if it's
difference.
glass or what. You know what my favorite screen protector was, and I can't find it anywhere. Maybe you can help me. There was like a gel protector.
Oh, Skinomi or whatever.
Bro,
I had it
I
on
had
Amazon
my
a while
phone for
ago.
like 5 years.
So I haven't actually used screen protectors in the past few years. Gorilla Glass.
Are those a gimmick too?
What, screen
You're gonna tell
protectors?
me, yeah.
Not really. I mean, yes, if you, like, so the kiosks at the mall are, you know, but like, that being said, are you able to put it on without bubbles? Because if not, it is worth whatever you're paying someone to
Yeah.
put it on.
I mean, I'm pretty good at putting it on without the bubbles.
Then
Because
do
I have
yourself.
LCD, so.
Oh,
it's-
yeah, then you're good. I've never put one of those things on straight in my life. It's half the reason I buy secondhand phones. Which is something else for a whole other episode. But the secondhand market, you can buy, I've resold so many different things and it is so great, but these companies also do their part to control that by creating eBay stores. So they can, so like DJI, a drone.
Also, you have these companies also controlling or monopolizing.
So this
if you
is
will,
really
the second
behavior-wise.
hand store too.
Yeah, this is more like predatory loans than
Yeah, it
like
is.
antitrust things.
I don't know about y'all over there, the app boys, Samsung. I have a problem with y'all. I'm about to come pick a bone with y'all. That's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
scary.
feel
how-
so skeevy, like, ugh.
And
I'm
nobody
taking
thinks about
advantage
this.
of. Well, we got a lot more for you to make me feel even more skeevy, right? But right now, we gotta take a quick break. You're watching Interviews. I'm Manny.
And I'm David Webb. This was great.
We will be right back.
You're like, cover my apple. No.
I know, I see you
I get it.
blocking your apple. But now I'm blocking
genuinely
my
get it.
Samsung thing, like, wait,
Yeah.
just a tap.
I'm using
I mean,
the
I
Apple-
love it and I don't love it because
So-
there's some ways that it like, doesn't function how I want it to.
I use an Apple Studio at home because the Apple trackpad
What time is it?
experience is better than anything Windows-wise.
We gotta go.
I got spoiled.
I gotta go.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
You wanna go right back in?
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta go.
Okay.
What time do you guys,
1.
what time did you get here?
You'll have to send to Manny's
10,
like email,
10,
Manny Jae Media, like all your links for
10,
stuff.
10:08.
Because I was trying to find the YouTube and I don't know that I found it correctly. So
Which one?
what could possibly go wrong?
We're on Spotify for that.
Oh, okay.
We're done by 1, we're good.
Gotcha.
Because I want to do, my plan was to do 2 interviews every other week
Yeah.
with you. So that way we get 3 hours one day, 3 hours the next day, right?
Yeah.
That's good. And then if you could
David
send
fucking
her an
Webb on
invoice
Instagram
for
and,
the $200 I'm
YouTube.
paying you today,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be great.
Okay.
Alright, appreciate you, man.
No worries, man.
Alright, let's get this done. Not to rush you, man. I
Nope, no
gotta
worries.
come on your show. I have fun talking with you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linux.
I got-
I'm like so
talking.
into that. Yeah.
I gotta ask Danny though.
Yeah.
Make sure he's cool with it, because that's my
He is.
homie. I love Danny Phantom.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Amazing guy.
Yeah, well, we're podcast. We're literally at the trim, and then I need to put up a table and put these things up.
Nice. You're there.
Pretty much.
That's
It's
awesome.
been a lot.
Is it gonna be your
I'm
store?
recording
Yeah.
3,
Alright,
Yeah,
let's show
sure,
so
yeah.
they can
1,
get
and
the
I'm
cameras
good.
going.
Recording.
Hey, yo, what's good, everybody, and welcome back to the final segment of this installment of Interviews with my man David Webb of Hamilton Computer Repairs on Park Avenue in Worcester. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So if you need any of your devices, computers repaired. I keep trying to get you to go into other devices, but you told me you don't do phones. Computers
Stay the hell away
repaired.
from that.
Make sure you go and hit up David Webb at Hamilton Computer Repairs. And yeah, so time flies when we're having fun.
Yeah.
We're near the end. I don't want to be near the end. But before we find out your address and your socials and how people, socials, you like that English? How people can reach out to you, give me a little bit more of the right to repair and
Sure.
why it's so important to all of us. And not
Okay.
just small businesses, but consumers.
Sure. So this is at its core a consumer rights issue. This is about being able to own your devices and maintain them. In one of our earlier segments, we briefly talked about how computers used to be. With right to repair, I like to take it back to how appliances used to be. You take off a single large panel on the side of it, usually a single Phillips head screwdriver or a turn knob, and on the inside of that panel, there's a clear-cut schematic that tells you what components are in there and where they go. And this is important because, then you can figure out what you need, and you probably would have gone to Radio Shack, and then you could just replace it, and problem solved. Something that you paid a obscene amount of money for a decade ago is now good for another 5 to 10 years, the way it should be, because you bought it once, and now you can maintain it. So the alternative, and this is what, like most rights that have to be fought for, it's because we don't currently have it. The alternative is planned
So it's
obsolescence.
people taking advantage of
Yeah,
loopholes, really.
yeah. No. Loopholes
No?
are it's the opposite. There's not a rule preventing this. Like they're
So
not.
there is no loophole. They're just taking advantage of this situation.
Yeah, well, so yes and no. They've created the situation. Like we are at this point because it's been 10 years. We essentially tapered to this point. In fact, I really think it started with the cell phone carriers and the 2-year because instead, let me put it this way: you were not hearing upgrade eligible for an upgrade anymore. We're hearing your battery's dying.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's time to get a new phone, not because I need a new phone, but because that someone else says it's time for you to buy a new phone.
Is that battery thing real? I've heard that
I'm going to stop you because I've got a great succinct story here.
Okay.
My technician's roommate connected his phone through a VPN, which pretty much means using a software to tell his phone that it was somewhere else geographically.
Yeah.
To be in, I think he chose Sweden, but somewhere in Europe. And his battery life extended like 30%.
Stop playing with me.
I'm 100%.
I'm about to go get a VPN right now.
Well, so you're on Samsung. They might not be throttling you.
Listen, I
But-
stay stuck. Like I'm tethered to a plug all day, and it annoys me because it wasn't like that when I first got the phone. And then now it's like, I think they killed my battery, so I want me to go buy a new phone.
So I don't think it's necessary. So one, it's your phone starts using more as you use it more. So this isn't just a you thing, and I do think this is by design. I have never had a phone that the battery lasts, honestly, even 2/3 as good after a year of use. So you have to acknowledge one, batteries should be designed to be replaceable on all devices. Batteries fail. Like, this is not a new thing. It's just usually we account for this with having user accessible batteries. They only stopped doing that like 7 or 8 years ago. We used to be able to take off the back of the phone and just swap it out.
Right.
And all smart tech people who had that experience would have bought, like, on Amazon for like $30 a generic you could get like 2 batteries and a wall charger.
Yeah.
And then you just swap it out throughout the day.
Right.
And sure, you might go through 3 batteries in a day, but you were on your phone all day.
Right. And I will say one of the things that I heard companies were not complaining about, but I guess protected themselves about were faulty third-party.
Yes and no.
parts.
So if a company, you have to realize that they're saying things are going to go bad if you replace it with a cheap battery. That's only because they put in
Like
chips.
fail-safe
Yeah,
software.
yeah, like things might go bad, but that's because they created their devices to only work with their stuff. They
And what about like
designed
a
it.
phone exploding? Is that a real thing?
I mean, it's happened, but it's because of manufacturer design, not third-party things. I've never seen you put in a bad battery and a phone explodes. No.
Okay. Those are some of the things I was afraid of, so I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, well, so honestly, it's that's one of the, like, not explosions, but something going wrong in repair is one of the things they're concerned about, and that's why they have made it difficult for these devices to be repaired, because they know that people are concerned and wary of the unknown, and so they have made it even less known.
Right.
So right to repair is the fight against planned obsolescence, and it is forcing manufacturers to provide access manuals and access to parts. So in other words, so that if your phone dies, you can get not just instructions on how to get access to your battery, but also so you can actually order the battery. Because that's really the thing. It's like, who cares about third-party things being dangerous? That wouldn't be a concern if we didn't have to use third-party things.
I mean, there's that, right?
That's
Everything
what I'm
starts
saying.
at the root.
That's what I'm saying. When I say this, they created this problem. Like, sure, there are concerns with repair, but the reason those concerns exist is because these devices are not designed to be repaired.
Okay. And what do you say to the argument that, we're trying to protect our property? If I give you everything you need to know to repair, how do I know it's not gonna get into the wrong hands where now bootlegging is happening?
Yeah, so 2 parts to that. One, it's not their property. You're talking about their intellectual property, but that's an important distinction here, because then they can encode it. I think there was, like, you can put DRM, it's a whole other series of limiting things, but the fact of the matter is that's a bullshit distraction point
It's an
on their end.
excuse.
Yeah.
Not an excuse, a distraction. That's what, yeah.
It's a red herring. It's a deflection. You could
Right.
absolutely have a whole series of conversations on it, but the fact of the matter is, they're not actually concerned about piracy. They're concerned about not getting paid for something. So for example, with iPhones, one of the big arguments was, people will figure out how to jailbreak it. And so the big concern with jailbreaking phones is, yeah, sure, it's technically insecure in the same way Windows is insecure. It's no longer, Apple's walled garden. But also, more importantly, then people can install pirated apps. So they're not concerned about, like, people stealing your information. They're concerned about people getting things that they didn't pay for. This all comes down to corporations will lose money.
Yeah.
I testified, so this is actually the second time we've introduced this bill in Massachusetts. The last time, so this bill is different because it doesn't involve anything about agriculture or medical devices, where the biggest lobbyists are. You have to recognize, like, when it comes down to it, this is actually, like, cell phones and computers, while it does affect almost everyone, is the smallest aspect of right to repair. Agriculture. John Deere is the loudest voice against this. Yeah, well, so think
People
about
are like literally cracking their John Deere's open to bypass the computer system because they will not
yes,
release that software information.
yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
so people are
Tesla was doing something with that too.
Yep. So it's all these software locks to prevent people from working on it, and the reason they don't want them working on it is
Safety.
I mean, they're talking about emissions thing, but it was funny because all of the people complaining about possible emission concerns were, if people did what they were talking about, it's illegal. Like, the emission regulations exist.
Right.
And these people, anyways, that's like just one way this can go bad.
Yeah, that's
And
a whole
here's
other rabbit
all
hole.
of these other things that are actually good for the consumer.
Right. Yeah, I heard the with Tesla, you know, they were concerned about speed and stuff like that, and it's like, well, you know, there's consequences for that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Like if you, so what you're saying is you're concerned people are going to break the law, and you think it's on you to stop that.
Right. Right.
I don't know. There's totally reasonable limitations to add. Like, you know, my drone won't let me go up if I'm right next to an airport. There's understandable software.
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't
There's,
want to interfere with air traffic.
yeah,
Makes
but
sense.
but you know that doesn't
What
mean
can
they
you do
can't.
with a John Deere that's like really harmful?
No, their main concern is emissions. That's the only one they kept bringing it up. But it was.
Oh, so now we care about our climate. Funny how
Right.
convenient that is, huh?
Right. No, but that's even what's parts of what makes better is the people who are there are John Deere sales reps, people who are like John Deere repair centers. It's the people who will be affected financially if negatively by this, and they're not even ashamed about this. They admit that this will affect them with sales, and anyways. They
But
try
will
to,
it really though? I mean, we're talking about John Deere, Tesla,
I mean,
Apple,
no.
Samsung, some of the biggest, I can't even say it, businesses, corporations in the world. Are they really gonna lose that much of their bottom line, or is it-
So you have to keep in mind, it's not about their bottom line, it's about the RMR. This is about the subscription plans for access to that knowledge of parts. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, this is what the reason we want right to repair is because it will force these companies to adjust their business model
They're making
towards
so much
planned
money, it's
obsolescence,
great.
towards
I don't-
repairability.
Bro, it's greedy.
It
They're
is.
being greedy. They're being greedy. $800 a phone, and that's on the cheap end.
But
You know how
I
many
would
millions
hate-
of people have these phones?
But who the hell cares about $800 a phone if it lasted 5 years?
No, I mean, I care in that they don't need my RMR. They really don't.
Well, but the RMR is not for the phone unless you're on a payment plan for it. It's for any data plans, payment protection plans. Their monthly recurring revenue is because it is to use their products. Like it's all the people who
So
are
as you
paying.
said in the beginning, we don't really own our products.
Yeah, we're just
We
leasing them until
think
they
we
die.
own them, yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to fix, because I don't think right to repair getting passed will make a difference next year or the year after. But in about 5 or 6 years, when we've had 5 years of companies releasing the access to the parts, you know, you'll be able to have something from that first year, and there'll be warehouses full of what you need to keep it running.
Yeah.
And then you can continue using your devices.
I was afraid of gun lobbyists. I was afraid of pharmaceutical lobbyists, and now I gotta be afraid of computer lobbyists.
Oh, no, never mind computer lobbyists, video game lobbyists. They're the ones talking about piracy.
Video games.
The most prominent. So it was funny because when I testified about this, you know, then there were a bunch of people in suits talking about the money and trying to throw around numbers about how this was going to affect the company they represented and the industries they represented. Sony was one of the louder ones. Sony, John Deere. It's, you know, Apple doesn't even bother in this fight because at this point they're kind of ahead of everything. They're winning it, which is really something worth acknowledging. We are, like, this is a right that we have to fight for because we do not have it, and all these companies are, you know, this is why would, like, they're winning. They don't need to do anything. If we keep going exactly as we are, these companies are thrilled.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to be louder about this. Which brings me to the action points. What I need people to actually do to help with this.
Yes.
Contact your state representative. So Google, find my representative. One of the first few links is going to be find my legislator. It's a Massachusetts.gov website. Enter your address. It'll give you 2 people with contact information. Call and email both of them. Tell them why you care about right to repair and why they should. And that's literally it. We just need enough people doing that people in the Senate and House are aware of it. Because you have to realize, while there's a lot of loud voices against this, this is common sense. Like, this actually makes sense for everyone, and it's also bipartisan. This is a really simple consumer rights issue that once people think about and are aware of, there's really not many good arguments against, except it'll cost some corporations a bunch of money because they have to change the way they're doing business. So, if you want to help with this, contact your state representative in the next week or few.
David Webb, such a loaded topic. We can go on for hours. As a matter of fact,
We should
hope
someday.
to talk again some more about it. Not only on your show, but I'd love for you to come back to InnerView so we can talk some more and, let people know exactly what it is they're dealing with their own lives and their own, what they think they own. But man, time flies and we gotta go. So
This was great, but thank you for having me.
no, thank you so much for coming. Just let everybody know where they can find you and how they can take advantage of your services.
So Hamilton Computer Repairs on Facebook and Instagram, hamiltonrepairs.com. We are located at 458 Park Ave in Worcester, open 11 to 6, Tuesday through Friday. And you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at David fucking Webb.
If you can't remember that. Listen, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you for joining me on another installment of InnerViews. I'm Manny.
And this is David Webb.
This is InnerViews. We'll be back and we'll see you real soon.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
All
Glad to
right,
do
very
that.
good.
That was awesome, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Oh, we forgot to do the fucking whole
It's
thing.
okay. Next time. It's okay, but
Yo, that was a dope reaction.
we
I
didn't
was
get
like,
any.
what the hell?
We didn't get into any of the other mods either. Good magnets and other chips. I glow in the dark.
We should do.
I want to hear this gun shop story.
So the gun shop I haven't. So there isn't a gun shop store yet. I mean, I applied to the ATF, but I have to essentially build it first, which costs like 30 grand. I don't have. So and like I said, I'm continuing. I ended up moving my shop instead of assembling it. So there's not a gun shop store yet, but there's the whole story of when the ATF thought I was running an unlicensed gun shop.
Good job.
I don't blame
I'm
it.
gonna take
Practically was, just not actually.
go through the files, because a lot of them are what's supposed to. Get rid of all the what's supposed to.